So I said, hurrah. Take two.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Look, odd things happen in real life,
Mm.
and the law can seem strange from time to time. So this story comes out of Oregon, a town called Bend in Oregon in the US.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the names of the actors in this story are not given, except the policeman. And his name was Officer Jay Avery of the Bend Police.
Mm.
Now, he was called because a man complained that another person had approached another man, had approached his 2-year-old child's son on the front lawn to his house. Now, nothing too strange in that, I suppose. We need to understand that in the US, people are a little bit more highly strung at this sort of thing, you know,
Yeah.
because he stepped onto his lawn.
Mm.
And the father of the 2-year-old shooed the man away
Mm.
and took his son into the house immediately and called the police. Now, one could think that the father was being a little bit protective, overly protective of his son, you know, except that the approaching man was totally stark naked.
Right. Okay.
So entering scene, Officer Jay Avery, and he arrived because the complaint was made. And on receiving the complaint, he explained that there was nothing he could do because it isn't illegal in Oregon to walk around public spaces naked.
Okay. Well, okay. Fair enough. Suppose.
And the man said, "But he was on my land. He was on my lawn. You know, he was on my land." And so the officer said, "So take him to court for trespassing." Now, I'm assuming that somebody from this town called Bend would be called a bender.
Okay.
So I could say that Bender
Yeah.
officer
Yeah.
Jay Avery
Okay.
couldn't find anything wrong with another bloke stark naked walking around the streets.
Mm.
But the officer, Jay Avery, he was right. A person can walk around naked in the public spaces in Oregon as long as they behave themselves and don't try and do anything sexual.
Okay.
Or annoy others or annoy third parties. If they're just walking down the street, they can.
Okay.
And it's not because there's a law allowing it, it's because there isn't a law prohibiting it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a true story. It's a true story, by the way. You know, so
Yeah.
and it just shows that some legal scholars they say that the law is an ass. You heard that phrase?
Yeah, it was actually it's not fit for purpose. It's not adequate. Yeah.
Whilst Officer Avery of the Bend Police in Oregon said that the law is a big fat naked hairy ass.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good. I like that. Yeah.
You don't. Over to you.
Well, okay. In any society, there's implied decent behavior. And yeah, we all live to it, adhere to it. And yeah, it's all agreed standard of behavior. And we're talking about this a lot now, what we agree or disagree with in the world and with certain other aspects going on, immigration, for instance. How you want to live your life. Let's remember that, up in the Amazon where we are in Brazil, there's some certain tribes don't wear any clothes at all without seemingly any issues. Where we live, there's many people don't wear many clothes where we are sometimes.
I think you're talking about norms of society, the norms.
Yeah, norms, that's it, the norms of society, yeah. So, yeah, when we look at this now, if this guy, I mean, I would suggest this guy, there was something a little bit concerning about this guy's behaviour, even if he didn't have any ill intention from a base level. I mean, there could have been reasons why he was walking away around the way he was. He could have had to climb out of a window rather rapidly for some reason.
Well, he'd be running away as quickly as he could and not trying to approach a 2-year-old child.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I say, I mean, on the base of it, let's just say he could have been looking for assistance from anyone. Can you go and get your parents for me, please? Yeah, something like that. He may not have had the opportunity to say that. Yeah. Yeah, you'd have thought he'd have said it from again, we don't know distances involved. If he'd have made a grab for the kid, yeah, I mean, obviously we've seen videos like that online, but I'm only playing devil's advocate. I'm trying to find reasoning why this guy would be there.
Well, we do have to explore the story.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Again, okay, the policeman was doing his business. Nobody got hurt. He would no doubt have to still be filing something. There was a guy who's done this. If there's further incident, yeah. I mean, how would you identify this guy? You know, line up like in the film Porky's, maybe. I wouldn't be asking.
Here's a tip: he isn't wearing any clothes.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the circumstances seem strange. It is, I mean, yeah, okay, there isn't a law against it.
No.
So, yeah, I've heard of this, well, I've not heard of it before. I have heard, yeah, certain areas, yeah. But that doesn't...
When I was a kid, we used to think that in Sweden, it was allowed to walk around without any clothes on.
Oh, that was a myth, yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if that was a myth or if it was true at that time.
Well,
but it was at the time when young boys used to look at ladies,
yeah,
and think that they're very, very beautiful. So
well, I mean,
could be a popular myth.
I think it's a popular myth. I have known people from Sweden, of females as well, and yes, it's a myth. Yeah, they have acceptable behaviour there. They're probably a little bit more open. They have saunas and other things you go into. Yeah, the communal showers, the saunas and things. But yeah, I don't think it's really acceptable. Again, there might not be a law against it, but I think they have a degree of acceptability. I've been to Stockholm. I've been to other places in Europe, where Germany, for instance. Yeah, there is acceptable levels of conduct. Whether it's illegal or not shouldn't really be the main criteria. Yeah, we're talking about having civil rights. We've just been in previous videos today talking about rights. If it's your right to do something, nobody can stop you doing it if it's not illegal. The fact is, why would you want to do something like that in the first place? Or perform an action, for example. Even if it gives you pleasure, it's unpleasurable for anyone else. So by nature of what you just said to me, by the time this guy had done something, he had caused a nuisance. He had affected somebody else's life, as it were, at that point. Now, as I said, if I'm trying to find reasoning behind it, and we don't know the full story. If the guy was in distress or had other issues, then maybe it's acceptable behaviour under exceptional circumstances. It's unfortunate there was a kid involved. I mean, if it approached other places in America, yeah. Well, it's obviously, you want to give it, this is America, at least he wasn't armed with a weapon, so to speak.
Where would he put the gun if he didn't have a holster?
Well, Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. So I mean, from that point of view, he was harmless and harmless. Yeah, very, very strange story.
Yeah.
If you get an update about it, if you can fill us in a bit more, or you can yeah, in the future, I'd be very well, I don't know if I'd be appreciative. I'm curious, let's put it that way.
We can do a part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Odd things happen in real life. There you are.
Yes. Well, yes.